This podcast is brought to you by the Prospect Research Institute, where researchers come to learn, innovate, and connect.
Definitely make separation between what you wear to bed, what you wear in your private time, and what you wear to work.
Welcome to Prospect Research Chat Bites, a podcast by and for prospect research professionals. I'm Jennifer Filla. Today, I'm talking with Tammy Parrish, owner of the Clothing Compass.
Hello, Tammy. Thank you for joining me today on Chat Bites.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So when I first asked you to join me on the podcast, we had not been really in a pandemic. And now COVID-19 is kind of running rampant around the globe. And suddenly the topic of personal image for remote workers has become a pretty hot topic. But I think it's always been something that some of us have had to worry about. Before we launch into how to kind of segue into remote working, I'm wondering if you'd be willing to share your background and how did you become an image consultant? What is that?
Good question. So when I was about 13, I think, I decided I wanted to become a fashion designer. So that is what I worked towards. I made all my own clothes. I worked in the fabric store. I wound up going to design school. So I studied and got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Fashion Design, moved to New York to work in fashion, and did that. And I did not like it. And that was based on the people were very, cruel, basically. What you see in the films. So I quit that and I actually became a fundraiser and did that for almost 17 years, doing a lot of events fundraising and also major gifts fundraising. And I really enjoyed that, especially working with the individuals, with the donors. And I, about 2 years ago, realized that I missed being visually creative in my work. So I thought, what can I do where I combine helping people, which is a lot of what I enjoyed about the nonprofit work, with being visually creative. So I came up with image consulting.
That makes a lot of sense. And you and I met through a fundraiser in New York
Yes.
and then got to hang out together in Amsterdam. You were very helpful to me. I had started out like everyone else 12 years ago in my sweatpants. Woohoo, I get to be home. And I now really do feel confident showing up anywhere. And I get dressed every morning. I don't have to get dressed in a suit, but I'm available for typically, except for Fridays, for Zoom meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a lot of people, I've had a lot of time to do that transition. It hasn't always been easy. And I need to do a little more now that video is so prevalent. Or how do you help people who are struggling with transitioning from I go to the office every day dressed to the nines to I'm working at home?
One of the toughest things is knowing the boundaries. You could compare it to when business casual became the norm. A lot of people had trouble knowing where there were blurry lines. So it's not formal and it's not casual. It's somewhere in between. But what is that? Can we wear jeans? Does this mean we only wear khaki pants? Do we wear dresses? And it's easier definitely to go from working in the office to working at home as far as a wardrobe. It's more difficult to go the other way if you were at home and then you're going to an office. First of all, the stress and the pressure doesn't need to be so high. First, if you've been used to working in an office, you really don't have to change anything when you work from home. It probably feels nicer. The pressure feels like it's off and you don't have to dress a certain way. But I wouldn't recommend a radical change because that's uncertainty creates uncomfortableness and sort of it's the unknown. So you don't need to change everything. You don't need to change anything. At the same time, you don't want to go too casual. And I think what you just said, oh, yeah, I can wear my sweatpants. I say it doesn't need to be a certain look, but it needs to be different from the clothing that you're wearing in other parts of your day. So don't wear your workout clothes. I experimented with this the last 2 weeks and it was a failure. So definitely make separation between what you wear to bed, what you wear in your private time, and what you wear to work.
That is good advice. One of the things I tussle with here in Florida is that it's very warm. So I love wearing sundresses. I've always loved wearing sundresses, but they don't show up very well in video because there's a lot of bare skin. So
Yes.
I have a couple of colored shirts. So if I'm in my sundress during the day, I can quickly just button on a solid shirt and I'm good in appearing for a Zoom meeting, for example. But actually, the solid color is something I learned from you. Can you talk about a little bit about what kind of clothes appear best in video?
Sure. I think the main thing to think about is that you want your appearance to strengthen your message and what you're saying, and you don't want it to distract. And some of the things that distract are prints, as opposed to a solid color. Having a wild print is not a good idea. First of all, because it's distracting if you're thinking like a zebra print, for instance. So that is not only going to catch your attention, and your audience could be staring at your shirt instead of your face, but it's also, for instance, stripes are definitely not good on video. And often, especially if it's being recorded, it can tend to look like an optical illusion and be really distracting. So color's good. It's good to know if you have more of a warm or a cool undertone to your skin. And you want to dress in colors that have that, either the warm or the cool undertone, like your skin. Because if you wear the opposite, it can make you look ill, or a color you don't want to look, and I mean your skin. Another thing that is quite distracting often is large earrings, and more than the size is the movement. So everything that moves is going to distract. And I love wearing large earrings, large dangly earrings, but I don't use them on a call because they're moving, and also they can interfere with the microphone. I live in the Netherlands, and many Dutch women wear very little or no makeup. So I often get the question, do I have to wear makeup? And you and I talked about this as well. Of course, you don't have to wear makeup, but on a call, what you have to think about is the camera is taking so much of the contrast out of your face and also the color. That's also a tip with clothing, is to make sure there's enough contrast. So contrast between your background, between what you're wearing, and between the parts of your face. What I mean by that is it helps to put a little bit of blush on. But before that, and I think you do this as well, wearing a foundation. So you're smoothing out your skin tone. Any dark places, you can cover those up with a bit of foundation or concealer. And this is also for men. A bit of blush is good to highlight the cheekbones. A bit of color on the lips or gloss, something to, people are probably staring at your mouth when you're talking. So that to have that area highlighted. And one thing that's very popular now is eyebrows and eyelashes. There's a trend that I know it's regional, but I feel that's spreading more and more, of women who are wearing false eyelashes and having extreme eyebrows. So I think it's just to be aware that on video that can look really over the top. For instance, an eyebrow pencil is better than a crayon or so that the powder looks more natural than the extreme eyebrow. And again, it's a personal choice, but if your eyebrows are so highly defined and prominent that I'm staring at them while you're talking, that's not good.
That's true, and it's tough to be taken seriously in business if you're extreme, or can be, depending on your role.
Exactly. And those are the big questions to ask before you're going into a call. So I always say you want to think about, what is your goal on the call? What do you want to achieve from that conversation? And the second question is, what is your role? So what is your relationship to the person or the people that you'll be speaking with? And are they on the same level as you? Is it someone you're reporting to? Is it a client? Are you, back to the goal, do you want to get agreement from them? Are you negotiating? Are you informing? All of those things play a role in how you choose to show up physically to the meeting.
I also find that it's pretty handy to have just those key pieces right where I sit and work. I have the shirt that I can put on right away. I did find a favorite lipstick that isn't too strong and easy to apply. And that sits, in a bin right on my desk so that my granddaughter can't find it and make a mess, but I can put it on.
Yes.
So, it makes it very smooth. I don't think about those things too often on a usual day.
It's it's like having your cheat sheet in a way. And that's a great idea, is to, especially if you're not planning to look this way every day, day in, day out for your work, and you have a video look, let's say. It can be something as simple as what you said about a collar, so have a jacket nearby. Scarves are quite handy because I find often, especially now when people are literally quarantined in their homes and you are doing more than, you're not just sitting at your desk and working the whole day, you're also having to take care of your kids and maybe walk the dog. And so scarves are nice to throw on over a t-shirt and really dress it up, or a certain pair of earrings that looks a little bit fancier than what you might wear at home, or maybe you don't wear in your private life much jewelry at all. And the thing about the scarf that's also helpful, talked about showing skin, and necklines are also something to think about based on what your camera is showing. You may just have a scoop-necked, U-necked shirt on, but in the camera, maybe based on where that's cuts you off, it might look like you have a very low cut top on, which is again just distracting to the viewer. So a scarf, if you have that by your computer, throw that on. And you already mentioned lipstick is an easy one as well.
I love the scarf idea. Even in Florida, we have light scarves too.
Exactly. A light fabric.
Throw that on. Speaking of being home for the pandemic, where a lot of people are in their living room or they don't have a separate office where you can close the door necessarily, do you have any tips around that and image and showing up well for work still?
It's good what you mentioned of having your go-tos as far as accessories, especially, or those few key pieces. But I think it's worth taking the time to put a few outfits together where you say, these are my video outfits, and that you think about that in the morning based on your schedule for the day. One thing that's also really handy is based on more than one person. So you're no longer alone working from home. You're suddenly with the rest of your family. And one thing that can help is having that work clothing. It's not only symbolic to you and helping you feel more confident and professional during your workday, but it's also giving a signal to your other family members, hey, I'm at work now. It's especially good for younger kids, may not understand verbally the implications of working, but it's a visual signal that you're not playing with them.
Well, maybe not interruptible either. Mom or dad has that suit jacket on. Oh, that means I can't talk to them.
Yes.
That's a great idea. I need to share that. That's wonderful. Before I let you go, I'm wondering if you have any last tips or resources for maybe even specifically fundraising professionals.
I'll tell you what, I think this goal and role and thinking about that before the call can really help in choosing how you are showing up visually, and it can take a lot of the stress out of it. And researchers, I think in general, are planners. They're definitely very organized and they know how to go about something in a structured way. So use those same skills that you use for prospect research to go into the call. And you don't need to do this every call, but it's more like creating some categories. And it's like when I was a major gifts fundraiser and I would go on a donor meeting with a prospective donor, I would do my research, of course, done by you, done by the prospect researcher, or do it on my own and know ahead of time what that person is like, as much as I can know that, and try to get a sense of what might they be wearing, what is their style. People always like to feel mirrored. So it doesn't mean you have to dress like that person, but think about how that person might be dressed and how they might react to you. And that's usually a good guide to use. And one thing I wanted to mention, I'd like to give my website. That is www.clothingcompass.com. So clothingcompass.com. I have a document there you can download. It's called 5 Tips to Let Your Wardrobe Work for You. So if you visit the website, you'll get a pop-up and you can download that document. And that's got a lot of information to help people get their new wardrobes together for this new situation.
It is a new world we're in. I hope it's the last time we face this in our lifetimes, but I'm willing to be prepared.
Well, and I think the shift to more time at home, more working from home, doing more business online, I can't imagine that that's going to go away. So in any case, we're going to be showing up online more than ever, forever, I think.
Yeah, it pushed a lot of people to embrace digital communications. Thank you so much, Tammy, for sharing your tips and your resource, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
That was Tammy Parrish, owner of the Clothing Compass. This podcast interview is going to publish as many of us are more than 7 weeks into the pandemic work-from-home reality. By this time, most of us have witnessed someone, who usually wears a suit, showing up on video in, shall we say, overly casual attire, or worse, eating during a video meeting. If you liked hearing from Tammy today, visit her at www.clothingcompass.com for even more image tips and tricks. Hey, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come check out the Prospect Research Institute's learning community. It's a membership community with powerful resources, great discussions, and comprehensive courses. Check it out at member.prospectresearchinstitute.org. I'd love to have you join me as a member of the learning community. See you there.